Okay, welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. And on the line with us, very pleased to have Angelique Roche. She is an attorney and the Vice President for External Affairs for the Ms. Foundation for Women. The website is forwomen.org. And Angelique, welcome to the program.
Thanks so much. I'm glad to be here.
Thanks for being with us. You are doing a deep dive on Mr. Gorsuch. You want to tell us what you've learned?
You know, honestly, the surface of it, before we even go to a deep dive, is that his track record on the rights of women and Americans with disabilities makes it clear, particularly for the work that the Ms. Foundation does and our grantees, that his priorities are institutions and not people. What we've seen through not only through his rulings, but through his dissents, is that his work has shown a fundamental lack of empathy towards women that is disturbing and frankly alarming in a number of different levels.
For example?
So I think the most famous or the most infamous at this time is the Hobby Lobby decision, where he enabled companies to withhold insurance coverage from birth control on religious grounds. This effectively eliminated, in some cases, limited access to health care for a number of women. And when you really boil it down to it, it's not just about birth control. It really is about control over a woman's body and having that kind of access to making decisions and being able to parent with dignity when you choose to parent.
Yeah, this is pretty extraordinary stuff. What are the specific areas where we would see America change consequentially if Neil Gorsuch was the deciding vote on the Supreme Court?
I think the first thing that really sticks out is that his views on pregnancy discrimination really highlight an alarming trend. And so even in his dissent, he has literally made the decision to rule on the side of workplace that has allowed gender bias, but also there are now allegations that Judge Gorsuch made statements just last year, condoning pregnancy discrimination against women. That's taking us back decades of work that would allow women, and as we know right now in our economy, many parents need dual incomes in order to afford child care, in order to afford education, and to put food on the table. And you're talking about rolling back the dial where women could get fired for being pregnant or be disallowed from having accommodations that are necessary for a healthy and successful pregnancy.
Well, in fact, wasn't one of his clerks or a lawyer who worked with him, isn't one of these folks on the record recently as saying words to the effect of, I'm doing this from memory, I don't have it in front of me, but words to the effect of, Gorsuch said that women try to game their employers or mess with their employers or whatever by refusing to tell them if they might get pregnant or whatever, and that employers should have the right to protect themselves, defend themselves against women. Do I have that right?
Absolutely. He, again, as I said earlier, it is clear his priorities are institutions and corporations and not the American people.
Yeah, this is extraordinary. So what are you hearing from Democrats in the Senate? I mean, this is all, I understand that there's at least 2 Democratic senators who are leaning toward voting for him. And I'm just wondering if there's any more. Chuck Schumer has said it's going to take 60 votes. He's going to have to earn those 60 votes. The Republicans are running around saying, oh, how dare you? And yet, they required 60 votes for pretty much everybody always. What's the current political situation around this?
So I think this is interesting. I had the privilege of sitting down with both the 2 most recent Associate Supreme Court justices when they were going through their confirmation hearings and their courtesy visits. And I wouldn't say this is anything unique. I do believe Gorsuch is a unique situation, and we are in a very unique situation with the current administration, but judges should have to earn votes. But what I am hearing is, based upon his ruling, that people are questioning, and people are going to work to ensure that we have a fair and non-biased jurist that's going to be on the Supreme Court.
Yeah, it looks to me like what we have here is Robert Bork dressed up like Mr. Rogers. I'm serious. Or dressed up like Fred McMurray, if you're old enough to remember those old sitcoms. I mean, it's just like, you know, and he comes across as this avuncular, you know, oh, I'm just a friendly guy who knows everything, you know, although he can be extremely condescending.
His jokes have definitely towed the line in the last couple of days of the hearings, and I think it's very interesting, particularly when looking at a judge who has the potential of setting back rulings in a time where we are living in the movement of for Black lives, and you clearly can see from his rulings, which are not funny at all, which are no joke, that he has the potential to rule on the side of police in excessive force cases.
Yeah. And has already done so, has he not?
Mm-hmm.
So, wow, this is remarkable. So what we need to be doing is calling our senators, and whether they're Republicans or Democrats, and saying no on Gorsuch. That's the bottom line here, Angelique, right?
Absolutely. I believe that this fundamentally is a chance for the American people to make their voice heard, in the fact that we have a Supreme Court opening that needs to be filled, but it needs to be filled, again, as I said, with a fair and unbiased justice that is really looking to ensure that laws protect people and not institutions or corporations.
Yeah, somebody like the proposed justice who was suggested by Orrin Hatch, Merrick Garland.
Who was on the line, a great candidate, completely qualified, and both sides said so.
Yeah, he was a lifelong Republican, but he was a moderate Republican, so the Democrats would go along with him. If my recollection is correct, correct me if I'm wrong on this.
Nope, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So, Angelique, thanks so much for coming on the program today and laying all this out. I really appreciate it. And thanks for the really, really important work that you're doing with the Ms. Foundation for Women at FOR Women at forwomen.org. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, and thanks for having me.
My pleasure. And you can tweet Angelique at Angelique, Angelique, Roche, Roche. I wish Angelique and the For Women, or the Ms. Foundation for Women, all the very, very